Welcome into the PHNX Sun Show. I'm your host, Espo. We got Flex, we got Saul, and we got a very special guest in the house. I am excited to introduce him like this for the first time. For me, the voice of the Phoenix Suns, Jon Bloom.
Let's go. Great to be here. Great to see my man Flex not in New Jersey.
Yeah,
He's in the flesh. He's not on my screen watching him with you guys with my permagrin because I'm so proud he moved him and his family out here. And obviously great to see you, Espo and Saul. Yeah. This is cool. It's cool to finally come sit with you and talk about this. I know we've talked about this since you and I started working together from an aspirational standpoint,
Crazy.
But now it's here.
You know what's so crazy is full transparency. I didn't know who you were back in like 2017. I heard you on an ESPN Summer League broadcast, and I was like, dude, this dude's pretty good. Like, who is he? And then I heard you again. You were filling for Al McCoy during the 2018 season, and I was just like, oh shit, that's that dude that I heard in the Summer League. I was like, he's really good. I didn't realize he was here. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. So that's dope.
Nice, man. And I remember like just seeing you grinding in the Al McCoy Media Center, by the way, and going, who's this dude? Like he's. It seems like he's writing, but he's working for TV, and I'm trying to put it all together. Is he with the website? Is he podcasting? Because it was early days, if it was podcasting. And then once I figured it out, I was like, okay, he's got something to him. He's got the military background. There's a whole lot more to this guy than just sitting at this desk trying to come up with something to write about this bad basketball team.
Also was like, hey, dude, can you stop looking over my shoulder as I play this Switch?
You remember that?
Hell yeah, man. That's like my favorite memory, man.
Caught in the act of 2K as a preparation tool.
Hey, no, you were simulating the Lakers Suns that night. Like somebody had to do it,
right? There was a moment in time where I thought that might catch on, where I would actually have people curious about how my Nintendo Switch games went.
I was,
but that's how thin those days were with regards to the actual basketball.
Well, you mentioned we worked together in those slim days, and we did have plenty of conversations about what your dream was, what you hoped to wind up being able to do. You now have the job. What does it mean to you to be the voice of the Phoenix Suns and to be able to take over from a man that I know you have great reverence for in Al McCoy?
Yeah, it means everything that I kind of thought it would mean. Talking to you guys before, whenever we would, discuss the future and what we want to do with our lives. So I did have some anticipation of what this might feel like, but it's blown me away. It's overwhelming based on seeing how the people closest to me are reacting to it, and the pride that is there. And, the ownership that they're all taking, which they should. These are my support people, my wife, my daughters, my parents, my brother and sister, and aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody in the family. You guys all have them. We all have family members, regardless of what you call them. And then we have our chosen family. Right. And so to celebrate with them too, and let them celebrate, because everybody who knows me well knows this has been the goal and the dream and all that. And I felt like, since you guys have video here, I can share something that I haven't done yet in the previous interviews I've done, because they haven't been on video.
That's right, baby.
But this this is like my Pulp Fiction Christopher Walken watch story. Okay, if you know that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But this, if we can zoom in on this, Emma, I don't know if you can. This is my first ever keychain.
Wow.
That I was given when I turned 16 and got the Honda Accord hatchback that was a 1985 hatchback that being demanded. I'm going to give it to you. I'll throw it to you and you can show it to the camera. There you go. And this has been with me every step of the way. I kind of felt like there was going to be a time where I had to pull this out in a job interview. Right. It never happened. I was going to do it. I was honestly, Matt Ishby, if you're watching, I was going to pull this keychain out and show you how deep it goes with me, because it's all beat up.
Look at this beautiful
It's
thing.
honestly
fantastic. Look at this.
That is from, well, we get focus
Back a little bit.
Back
Back a little
Back
bit.
it up.
Back it up a little bit.
No, that's actually what it looks like.
That
It's
is
just blurry.
exactly what it looks like.
So old,
It's
it's
so
blurry.
beat. You can't tell the Suns logo because it's so beat up, been in every pocket.
There it is, baby. There it is.
Let's go.
Look how beat to shred that thing is. That's
and I
traveled
got the
all
shorts
over the
on
country.
today. That's the
It
same
matches
short.
Flex's
Let's go.
shorts.
Let's go.
That's what I'm
Perfect.
talking
See,
about.
we did coordinate.
Yeah, we
Even though
did.
you didn't wear your tie-dye. By the way, shout out to the tie-dye guy. This is a legit
That's dope.
tie-dye he
love
made
it.
for the two of us because he
Yeah.
was a longtime listener. And I think he just goes by the tie-dye guy
Tie-dye
on
guy.
Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it now. But yeah, back to the keychain thing. That is why this is so real for me, is because that thing has been with me, and that is a symbol. It's like the Suns have been with me, like they haven't left me since 13 when it started, and you all feel this.
Yeah.
You all feel this. So I think that's hopefully why the fan base may be able to accept me, as difficult as that might be to follow in the footsteps of Al McCoy, the Hall of Famer, in every sense of those words. Hopefully over the last 15 years, you've gotten to know me and know my story and know I'm one of you. I think that's the most important thing. I am full-fledged a Phoenix Suns fan. Now, sometimes I have to take that hat off and be the pro and do the job and focus on my training and all of that. And that will still be the majority of what I get ready for as I'm the voice of the team now. But the fan is still going to be there always.
I wrote about that last night. Like, change is tough, right? Change is tough for anybody. But to have somebody like you, who we know understands what it's like to be a fan of this franchise, and the person you are, I think that's the exact perfect combination to usher us into a new era, because you have the reverence and you have the eye for the future, and that's what I personally, having known you for as long as I have, am excited about with you being here. There is a trust factor that this valley needs to have with somebody that they welcome into their home, and you have that, sir.
I appreciate that. And it took a lot to establish that trust, I think. It was a focus of mine, no doubt, when I was given the first opportunity. And a lot of people don't know this story as well. I'll share it with you guys. My first crack at it was not, hey, you're the postgame show host. It was, hey, this is a tryout for a full season.
Wow.
You and Dan Weiss, who's now with the San Antonio Spurs, does a great job. We were told they're going to treat the season 2008 as a tryout, and at the end of the season, we'll decide who we want to continue to do the job. Kevin Ray had just left that job, taking phone calls, to go do television, and he was doing sideline at that time. So that opened it up, and now I'm like, oh, here we go. I get to compete. Usually that's reserved for the golf course only for this guy.
We'll get to that in a minute.
I look forward to that. Maybe I don't. But yeah, I was excited, and that's what it took. It took going out there and proving it. And so that was the start. Then it was like, okay, I got to prove a lot more than just I can do this job from a standpoint of the ability. It's also earning the trust of the fan base, as you said. And so hopefully I've done a little bit of that, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of it.
You know what? This is emotional for me. I'm wearing shades for a reason, because I love this guy. And the amount of work you put in, JB, behind the scenes that people know nothing about, conversations we've had that I've been blessed to have with you, watching you work, watching you prepare to bring this new Suns era into fruition with someone with your work ethic. I wouldn't be in this chair without you. And that's from the bottom of my heart. So this is a special moment for you and your family, man. And I'm just honored that I could sit here with the three of you guys and be a part of this, man, because I don't think people understand how hard you worked to get to where you are. And to follow Al McCoy, man, that's an incredible journey. And last thing I want to ask you, there are a lot of young people that watch this, and they're inspiring to be. I wanted to be Al McCoy, right? 13-year-old Flex in Phoenix was saying Shazam in my room. You're going to do that for somebody. If you could talk to like 20-year-old Jon Bloom right now in this chair, you can talk to 20-year-old Jon Bloom, what would you tell him?
When he was at Syracuse getting drunk or what?
Yeah, Syracuse. Syracuse Jon Bloom.
Were you there? I'm older than you. I
You
know
don't
that.
remember me?
Yeah. Well, what I would tell him is keep grinding, because it's going to pay off.
Right.
And it might take a little longer than you think right now, because you're full of vim and vigor at 20, thinking you're conquering the world when you get out of here. But, and I think I got a decent grasp of the business and how difficult it was going to be. I never left Syracuse or even, through any stretch of my career thinking I got this. but I did think I was in the right place.
Right.
I did think I was doing what I was meant to do. I felt like I was on the right path. And then it was illuminated when my wife was the one who precipitated our move to Phoenix. She had lost her job, was laid off in Detroit. And so we started looking, and she got the gig out here first. So, It wasn't even me saying, hey, I got to go there so I can become the voice of the Suns, like I told a buddy in college at the age of 18.
Wow.
And Larry Gatos, I was just on his show on 92.3 yesterday, and he retold that story. And I forgot that I told him that.
Can you show the tweet, Emma? We have the tweet
that
Larry sent out yesterday. He chose a great photo of you guys. At Syracuse 30 years ago, you turned to him and told him that you wanted to be the voice of the Phoenix Suns.
And that was crazy because we were all, I remember it too, now that he retold it to me, we were all standing around. He was 2 years older than me in school. And there was a group of us. I think one of the guys that was in that group was Andrew Siciliano, who you've probably seen do the Red Zone channel and NFL Network. He's another close friend of mine. And we were all just kind of spitballing, saying, hey, where do you want to be? What's your dream job? What do you want to do? And I do remember saying that. And it's crazy because I only had a slight understanding of Al McCoy as an 18-year-old kid growing up in the Bay Area. I knew about Shazam, and you and I have talked about this because we didn't get highlights. There wasn't really ESPN radio back in 93.
Yeah.
And so it was a learning process to understand what Al McCoy was all about. So that wasn't any thought of like, oh, this is feasible because the guy that's doing it is already at the second half of his career. At least it was, I think, maybe 30 years ago. No, it wasn't.
It was like a third.
It was right in the middle. But anyway, he was, he had a long peak. It's still going, I think. And to think that, though, and think about a friend who remembered that was awesome. But it wasn't easy. And so to tell the 20-year-old, again, back to your question, Flex, it's not going to be easy. That's important to know. Would never paint that picture that it's going to be, cruise control. It takes that work ethic, and it takes the passion, too. You can't fake it.
Yeah.
I don't think you can fake it in this business.
No.
At least to get in, maybe there are guys that put it on cruise control once they get there. We've probably all seen them, guys maybe at the top of their craft and they're doing all the big stuff and maybe they're mailing it in at the end of their career. That happens.
Yeah.
But to get there, to me, it seems like you got to have that passion and then a mixture of other factors.
For sure. Yeah. This is actually kind of surreal, just real quick. So we talked about Fox Sports Arizona, and I was the director of digital over there and doing my thing, and I would be in the stands every night in the press box, and EJ would walk by, and my dad got me my first poster, and it was EJ. I wanted Kevin Johnson, just so you know.
You got the wrong Johnson.
But I got the wrong Johnson. Yeah. And it was EJ, and so EJ would pass up every night. We'd give each other a thumbs up or a thumbs down based on how the Suns played, and then we kept going. And now we do a show together. And then every night after I would leave the arena, I jump in the car. I'm going home, and I listen to you two. Because Flex is always the first one to call in, and it's so surreal that like we're all here doing this together. And you guys are sitting in these chairs, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is just so fucking cool, man. And I'm sure I echo some of the same sentiments that a lot of people have out there listening to you guys a lot on the radio, and then you doing the play-by-play from time to time. And like, dude, I'm so happy for you, man. It's
Thanks,
really dope.
dude.
It's really dope.
That's awesome to hear. And I feel the same way about Flex. I mean, we've talked about this. I do have the shades, but I took them off. I was a little bit more ballsy than him, apparently. I'm just open with my tears. My girls see me cry all the time. We're watching, Wrexham last night, and the tears were coming down. What the heck's wrong with me? Anyway. I do have such a appreciation, almost fanboying the moment right now to be here with all of you guys. And, the fact that we did the show together for the years in those lean years.
Oh, yeah.
Had some drama off the air, all kinds of stuff that we met with Vegas and thinking about doing shows about tacos. I mean, we'll get into it another day. But all that went down. And then Flex, just such a mainstay. I mean, to think about the guy that is by himself at 1 o'clock in the morning, listening to a post-game show thousands of miles away, calling up minutes, several minutes in advance to line up and make sure he's ready, and talking to the call screeners who butchered his name to begin with because he never was Flex till they butchered it, and then he's Flex. Now his whole persona's changed, and he's staying up late night, and we're talking bad basketball for so many years. Basketball. But then to finally have the moment to be on board, and I'm so glad you're here this year, and now here we are, you're fully ready to go, and all of us are. And what we have in store is something that it's one of those deals where, like, you want it here now. I want to call a game right now. I do. I have the energy. I really want to call a game.
We can put 2K on you.
But I also love the anticipation of it.
Yeah.
Just like anything great, when you plan a great trip with your family or whatever, that anticipation part of it's kind of cool too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny. He represents like the Phoenix demographic too, because you weren't born and raised here in Phoenix,
right?
You know what I mean? You were a transplant, so to speak, but you came here because of this team. You know what I mean? Like that's phenomenal.
That's love.
Flex, same thing from the state. Now he's here for the Suns. Like it's kind of a microcosm of what the city's all about. Because if you love this team, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, it doesn't matter where you come from in the country. If you love the Suns, then we rock with you.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And basketball has such a strength and power to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, look, I think that football has obviously commanded our nation, unlike any other sport, from a lot of different standpoints. I think gambling, we could agree on, fantasy and those elements and community and all this stuff. Once a week we're together. And I geared up, and I'm a huge football fan, so I'd be a hypocrite to say football didn't have it. But basketball is just different.
Yeah.
There's something to me. Yeah. Community-wise, that basketball does, that football does.
There's a culture that goes along with basketball that is not replicated by any other sport. That's just
maybe part of that is I'm not rocking football cleats when I'm walking around.
Let's
go.
Can I give you credit? Because when we started working together, and these guys, especially Saul's not going to believe this, but your shoe game,
zero.
Mid.
No, this is all Espo influenced it before anybody.
Wait, Espo?
Yeah, for real. He wears Barclays.
I used to wear Barclays. I used to wear Shaqs. When I worked there, I wore dress. I had to wear dress to step his game up.
I think it's because I convinced my wife I wasn't buying as many of them as I actually was.
Yeah, I'm a baller on a budget, man. So I got a 6-year-old.
Yes. 6-year-old. That's another thing. My kids are growing up now.
Bro, you don't take this blame from Espo, okay? You don't let him shame you, okay?
I will have the book chapter ones. Don't you worry. I'll be
See, I don't know that because I've always seen the swag. When I met JB, it was a swag. He was rocking all the fire stuff. I'm like, damn, I got to pick it up. I'm coming from the East Coast. Dude got the fire on. I'm over here rocking some Adidas. Like, we got to stop that.
I think it was twofold. It was my game, but then we'd have PJ Tucker on a lot in the post game.
Oh, for
and
sure.
Remember he came out in like shoes that were covered in just like gold spikes at one time. Like PJ always brought the shoe game, so I think that had a little influence on me too.
But I think the reason I give you credit was because I fed off your energy. Like, you got super pumped about it, and so then I got pumped about it. Like, what's PJ going to be wearing now? The garbage man, as we called him affectionately on the show.
Yeah.
I think I got, and that just kind of led into me. I always loved the old kicks, but I couldn't afford them. I never got Jordans as a kid. And so now all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, I'm a grown ass man. I can buy myself some grown ass man shoes.
I can get that.
And they don't have to be dress shoes because we're working in an NBA arena and people are cool if you're wearing those. And once that all got opened up, and listen, we could have these conversations all day about the dress code back in the day with AI. I got my own feelings about how all that went down. But in the end, is there a better industry on point with fashion right now than the NBA?
No.
Nope.
Absolutely not. I mean, you see it, right? The pictures before the game, the fashion clips before the game. Everybody wants to see what they're wearing, what book is wearing tonight.
Well, now you can, with Google, you can watch somebody walk into the arena and you can take a screenshot and you can
buy it.
You can buy whatever it is that they're wearing, and they'll hone it in.
And
is that crazy?
I think I'd like to think that John and I can take credit for that.
Oh yeah, okay.
With the shoes. So.
Yep, you're welcome.
And you know, it's crazy how things evolve because it was that Michigan Fab Five.
Yes.
That Michigan Fab Five was
the bagginess.
Yes.
Yep.
The black socks, the bagginess,
heads.
the ball head. And then AI took it to another level. And now it's a complete culture. It really is a complete culture, and it's really cool to see, man. You know what? I told myself I had to tell you this. This is just a story about a show that we did in Phoenix, and this, I just want everybody to know how good of a guy this guy is, and good things come to great people. I had flown in from New Jersey to do a show, and Jon always said, "You're going to do the show with me backstage. You're not going to call in. You're going to come and do the show." And if you remember, I was with my father, okay? And my father at the time was just turning 80. And I played basketball my whole life. My father never saw me play a game of basketball.
Oh, man.
Okay? It just wasn't his thing. He was a worker. He was a provider. He didn't care too much about that stuff. So I bring him to Phoenix, and we're watching the Suns play, and I'm literally explaining the rules to him because he's never seen a basketball game. So we go backstage, we do the show, and he's soaking it up. I don't think he realizes he's in an NBA arena. He's really old school from the island. So it's kind of all playing out for him. And then we get in the car, and we put the radio on, and my boy Jon Bloom goes, we're going to wrap up the show. Shout out to my boy Flex, and shout out to his father, Carlos, who came all the way from Puerto Rico. And my dad cried in the car, man. I'm getting emotional telling it. He looked at me, and it was almost like that father-son moment, like, wow, dude, that's cool. Like, they're talking about me on the radio, and that's Jon Bloom, man. In a nutshell, that's what you are. That's what you do. That's what you mean to me, to my family. That was one of the most special nights I've ever had with my father.
That's so cool,
Yeah.
man.
So
And you know what I'm doing in 3 weeks? I'm going home for my dad's 80th birthday.
wow, look at
He
that.
just said 80.
Let's go. Let's
How
go.
about that little connection?
How about that, man?
Shout out to my dad, Jordan. And by the way, he took me to my first game as an actual Suns fan. And I geeked out a little earlier today, and I went and looked at Basketball Reference. So I was like, I wonder how KJ played. I know I was geeked out so much to see him in a Suns uniform.
Right.
For those who don't know, he's the one who sucked me in.
Me too.
Because I went to Cal basketball camp as a kid, as an 11-year-old, and got to meet KJ, and he was my favorite player of all time in any sport. So I'm patterned everything, even the wiping of the sides when he shot his free throws. I know you know.
Yes.
So anyway, that night, at the old Oracle, which was Oakland Coliseum, and KJ had a triple-double in that game.
Wow.
I don't know how I didn't remember that, but back then in 1988, we weren't thinking in those terms of triple-doubles being
Just wanted to watch the game.
right.
Yeah.
I was 11 or 13 at that point, and so I looked at EJ's line. He was in the starting lineup with Walter D, and what a great team. And neither team was good. They were both well under 500 that year. It was March because KJ got traded in February.
Yeah.
I was just so psyched to find it and go down memory lane in my own head. And thank you, Dad, again for taking me, because I don't know if all this happens if I don't go to that one game. Who the heck knows?
Wow.
It's like it made it more firm that the Suns were my team. Because I was like 2 or 3 weeks into fandom after KJ got traded, watching box scores in the newspaper. That's
Wow.
different than actually seeing it in person,
yeah.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have a Bloom story. If
Go
you don't
ahead.
mind.
Yeah.
My last game at the Suns, you did something that was so unbelievably kind for me that still to this day means so much. You went around to players and people that worked there and had them wish me the best of luck and wish my family
Wow.
the best of luck, because I just had said that my wife was pregnant. And I will never forget that. That was one of the kindest gestures. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that as well, because that was the toughest decision at the time for me to leave a place that I loved that much. And you were unbelievable with that too. That's the Jon Bloom you're getting in that seat.
Yeah.
One question before we move on to some Sun stuff, though. Relationships are key in this business, right? We've talked about that here. What was it like to build that relationship with Al and get to learn from him that prepares you for this moment come October?
I think it was delicate at first. I think what I did was give him space and try to prove that I was worthy of even the time for a conversation. And what's crazy about that is one of my first times ever talking to Al was on the air when I used to do a radio show from 9 to noon on Saturdays called the Jon Bloom Show. It was a real creative name that we came up with, and it was hours of deliberation to come up with that. So I just randomly reached out, and he said yes to doing the interview and coming on the show. And I didn't know the magnitude of it until the next day. The boss of the radio station called and said, "How did you get Al McCoy?" And he was like beside himself, about how big of a get that was. And I was like, I just asked. And it was a great conversation. I mean, I was honest with him. I told him how long I've been a Suns fan. And right away, like I just had this kind of immediate respect factor for what he was bringing to the table. So I kind of let that breathe. And then when I had that year of tryouts, I still didn't really interact that much. I remember in 2008 with Al, it was more just kind of watching him do his thing. And then as the years went on, I would find him coming to me and relying on me for various things and conversations. And that was awesome because then I kind of felt like he was welcoming me in. But I still needed to prove myself. And I still always felt like no matter what, I'm going to show reverence for the man who has earned as much reverence as anyone I've ever met in this field. And so I'm going to show that. And I always kind of just made it a point to let people know, if they didn't know, who's doing this, like what Al McCoy's all about. It just felt like it was part of my gig. And I'm really still proud of how that all went down, and I wouldn't change it. And obviously I wouldn't. And I'm sitting here, and we're talking about me getting a chance to do it. So, maybe that all played into how Al and I were able to work together and become closer. I never once went there with him. Never said, "Hey, Al, you going to do this to your 90, 100, 300? I never went there. I never asked him, and I just stayed professional. And some people would get upset with me for not doing that, but I just wouldn't. I just didn't feel comfortable. I felt like he earned it. He earned it to go as long as he wanted to, knowing how much he meant to everybody within the walls of the arena and the valley and beyond.
What's so cool about this is that, you're talking about two gentlemen that are fantastic with people. Al McCoy, I know Espo's got a million stories about Al McCoy. I have a personal story about Al McCoy. It kind of resembles what you were talking about, in terms of like when your boss was like, "How did you get him?" My first year at the U of A, I'm in journalism 105 class, and they were like, "Hey, you need to do a project on a specific person," and I couldn't think of anybody. And then all of a sudden, I thought about Al McCoy, and I was like, you know what? I've never spoken to him. I'm going to call the Suns. I called the Suns ticket office first. They rerouted me to another place. And then I ended up talking to Al McCoy. Wow. And Al McCoy answers the phone. And I'm like, "Hey, I'd love to set up a time to talk to you." He gives me his personal phone number. I call him a couple weeks later. We jump on it, and I recorded everything on my computer. Just because I needed to go back and write some things, so I wanted to go back to that conversation. So I write the report up and I turn it in, and my teacher literally says the same thing. She says, "How did you get Al McCoy? I don't really believe you." And I was just like, she was like, "I've been a Suns fan my whole life. How did you get Al McCoy?" I was like, "Well, and it sounds stupid." I was like, "I just called him up." And so I had to play the recording for her. And she was like, "Holy shit, that is Al McCoy." I'm like, "Yeah, I told you I talked to him." It was so cool. He was so courteous with his time. And every single time I've ever spoken to him, he's been courteous with the time, just like you are.
Yeah. And I know he has a great deal of respect for you and has for years. So I'm glad you're the one taking the seat there. We got to pay a few bills here. Yeah. So I'm gonna do that. No good transition here, but I want to tell you about our friends over at Wink. They are a seltzer with just a wink of THC, and honestly, it's become a show ritual for me to have a little bit of Wink before. Calms the nerves down, and honestly helps me with these ad reads sometimes, because these guys like to give me shit about them. But it is one of my favorite things that we have.
You can't throw yourself under the bus before we throw you
yes,
under
I
the
can.
bus.
That's the way I keep you from doing it.
You're nailing it so far, my man.
Eminem.
So I highly recommend you try it. They've got great flavors: mango, lemon, lime, just a bunch. You gotta try it out. yourself, and they are available in 2.5 milligram and 5 milligram cans. You can find Wink right here in Arizona. That's the best part of it. You don't have to go anywhere else or go online. You can just get it here in the Valley. Look for Wink at all Sunday Goods dispensaries in the Valley and Botanica dispensaries in Tucson. They're now in 12 states nationwide as well. So if you're not here, like when John grew up a Suns fan, you're watching somewhere else, you can still find Wink if you're in one of those 12 states. And even recently, they launched online ordering and home delivery to about a dozen other states. So find the fastest way to get your hands on Wink. Go to drinkwink.com. Another friend of the program here is our friends at BetMGM. Again, I use this app constantly. I love BetMGM, and right now they're going to give you the best deal that they've had. If you bet $10, you're going to get $200 back in bonus bets, regardless of what happens with your wager. It's that simple. 10 ducats, put them down, you can get $200 in free bets. Let me walk you through it. You download that app, you enter the code PHNX, you deposit at least $10, you place that qualifying bet of $10 or more if you're feeling spicy. And then no matter what happens in that bet, you get $200. Sign up today using that promo code, place that first bet, and get that $200. Check the show notes for details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
And then we have our BetMGM parlay of the week. I'm just going to tell you this. Take the Cardinals money line. You're going to get that at plus 210. And then, you know what? I'm going to take a Zach Ertz touchdown this week. I think that Zach Ertz is going to get in the end zone. Parlay those two. You can win some money on the BetMGM Sportsbook app. You can do that, and you can do the $10 bet and get your $200 free just by doing that parlay. John, I want to get your thoughts on the Suns' busy offseason. Obviously, they add Bradley Beal. They add a bench for bargain basement prices. What do you look at this team and think about their moves this offseason?
Well, I'm definitely excited. I mean, how can you not be? Start with Bradley Beal, who I've always admired from afar. Wondered what he would look like without a Washington Wizards uniform on. I think a lot of us have. Never thought really that we'd see him in a Phoenix Suns uniform. I mean, even in conversations with Flex, my man over here, where we talk about every dude in the league, I don't think we talked a ton about Bradley Beal as a potential Sun. But when it happened, I was tantalized by it because you just think about the options. Now, bench-wise, that's also a big topic, and there seems to be a lot of options there too, more so than maybe last season. I wasn't as down on last season's bench as I think a lot of people were. I just felt like there wasn't a great opportunity for them to find a rhythm and a rotation and stick with it. And I think we all know how successful teams do it. And more often than not, successful teams are able to establish that rotation and stick with it, and everybody then has a real good idea of what their role is going to be. That's a challenge for Frank Vogel and his staff, is establishing that those roles, right? And we'll see whether it's going to be a preseason test or whether it's going to last through a little part of the regular season before we really know like who the 8 or 10 are. Right. I don't think there needs to be a hard number to that either, by the way. That's just my own feeling on it. I was super psyched to see Eric Gordon and DeAndre Ayton establish a little chemistry with Team Bahamas. I know it's FIBA and it's different than NBA basketball, but you guys know, knowing ball the way you all do, that it matters just knowing what a guy's tendencies are, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So for Eric Gordon to pick up on what the big fella likes and vice versa can only help this group establishing that chemistry.
Yeah, I think that's a terrific point. Again, the chemistry part of that, and I don't know, when you were talking about the rotations on the bench, the thing that we kept going back to was the inconsistency. We even heard Jock talk about it. Jock, friend of the program, obviously, Talk about how one night he didn't know if he was going to play 10 minutes or 0 or 30. It was just all over the place, and so I think this group has a better pulse, or will have a better pulse, on just making sure that it's consistent. If you ride it for 10 games and it doesn't work, then you switch it up, go to somewhere different. But from game to game, having that up and down and not really knowing when you're going to go in and go out because you're trying to adjust every single game to the other team's matchups, that's just not the way to go. Mm-hmm. You're the dominant team. Like that the Suns are the dominant team. You got to force other people to adapt to you. You don't adapt to them, especially in this case with what I believe is going to be the best team in basketball this season.
It's tough to argue that. And now let me ask all three of you, because we have this conversation rolling now, hoops-wise. Typically, for me, my favorite position has always been the point guard. And when I look at a basketball team's potential, I start there. How do we do that with this team?
You got 2 point guards now.
3.
Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and you could throw KD in
I
there
think
if
there's
you
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you're getting the best of all worlds in this.
See, this has been a training exercise over the course of this summer. I've been saying for since day one, you don't need a point guard.
No.
You just don't. We've been conditioned as Suns fans to identify the point guard
And we've
position.
been spoiled.
We've been
Yeah.
spoiled.
We've been
AJ,
super spoiled.
Nash,
Yes.
Kidd. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And so when we were void of it, panic mode. How are we even? What does it even look like to win without a point guard?
To be fair, though, we've seen Suns teams without point guards.
Yeah.
True. But other teams, especially in the last decade or so, have proven that you can win without a point guard. So you don't need a dominant one.
If you have otherworldly talent at the other
right.
And we have otherworldly talent at every other position. And Devin Booker, to be honest, the transformation of Devin Booker over the course of the last 5 to 7 years has been remarkable. And I think he learned so much from not only Chris Paul, but also Ricky Rubio. You got to give him credit because he was the first one to kind of lay the groundwork there. And I think Devin is going to be one of the best, not even the best players, one of the best playmakers in the league this season.
Yeah.
I think that's what helps.
Yeah, I mean, it's the evolution of basketball. Positionless basketball is coming. And I mean, we've been denying it for a minute, but it's here. And I actually think it's a strength. I keep hearing people say the Suns not having a point guard is a problem. I think it's a strength. I think you're not going to be able to key up on them like you normally would with a traditional point guard. You're going to get variations of different unicorns playing that position over a 48-minute span. You might get 5 minutes of KD just bringing the ball up and spacing the floor and having to put that other guy in a mixer. You might get Devin Booker, who you don't know what you're getting, but I know he's a top 5 player in the world. And you got a Bradley Beal that can drop 30 on you any night. All these guys are capable. I think it's a strength. I think it's something that the NBA is going to evolve and go to more. And I think we're going to be the team that in 5 years, people are going to look back and say, oh, damn, that's the blueprint.
But I think you could also argue that the 7 seconds or less team ushered in the point guard phase in the league too, because it changed the game. You needed that guy to run fast. Where the game before that in the early 2000s was very much more dominant scoring guards at the point. The Steve Francis, the Stephon Marbury's, guys like that. Yeah. And I think you're right. We may see another evolution based on the way the Suns have built things, where they are the team that kind of pushes the league in a different direction, even more so than it's headed.
Well, I would say that the Bulls were the first team to kind of show that you don't need a dominant point guard to win championships. They had it depended on the system, and then you had 2 tremendously great players to accompany them. And I think when you see that, it kind of changes your mind. But because before that, you had dominant point guards, Magic, Isaiah. Even the Celtics, when they had Dennis Johnson was a very, very good point guard. You know what I mean? So it kind of trickled down, and so I love this. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm excited for it. Also, just so we all know, I'm high on Bradley Beal. I don't know if you've heard that or not.
Yep.
There's not a single guard in the league that can stop Bradley Beal down low in the post. So go ahead and switch up if you want to, because you think, the little guy's going to guard the smallest of the 3.
Okay.
Yeah, at your own peril.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
We look
that
forward to
dude's
watching.
a dog down low on the post.
Yeah, he is.
One thing we haven't talked about, coaching change this offseason, part of the job. You do the pregame coaches interviews. how excited are you to talk to Frank Vogel? Because he does not seem like a guy that holds a lot back.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. Everybody that I've talked to who have worked with him, both along the way in Los Angeles and in Indianapolis, where I've got a really close college friend, Anthony Calhoun, who just gave me a heads up that he and Frank are super tight. So he's like, make sure when you talk to him, you bring me up. And I just look forward to having the conversations off the mic, with him and tapping into that knowledge that he's got. I think, like I said earlier, I think he definitely has a challenge to really establish those roles. I'm sure he's embracing that challenge. I mean, you look at the roster, you said it's going to be the model flex, but go figure trying to model after this. You're going to find a Booker, a Durant, and a Beal. How many other teams can go just to the shop and go and find those people?
That's right.
But,
That's right.
I understand what you're saying from a basketball standpoint. There's an opportunity here for Frank and his staff to establish almost another new wave of playing offensive basketball. Specifically, I'm talking about the offense. On defense, you're going to man up and you're going to figure it out who's taking who. That's going to be an interesting thing for us to watch too. Yeah. And then I'm also curious, getting to meet the new coaches that are alongside with David Fizdale being part of this and along the way learning. I'm thrilled that Kevin Young's back because he and I established a great relationship last year. And so I'm looking forward to keeping that up. And then, we talk about the rotations. I just am thinking how excited I am for this starting five full of stars, but also if things get out of hand, is there going to be a more fun, like late game unit than what the Suns can roll out? Whoa. Nobody's talking about this rookie Tumani Kamara, and I think he's going to be fun to watch after watching him in Summer League. Obviously, Bull gets the headlines from people thinking about what he's going to do.
Are you on the roller coaster?
I am definitely on the roller coaster.
Let's go.
Let's go. You knew I was on it from the
jump. Well, any other thoughts that when you're looking at this roster, how it's constructed, anything that you really liked that was done this summer?
Yeah, they definitely added some shooters, didn't they? I mean, Yuta, if he can do like what he did for the Nets, he's going to get even more open looks here, is he not?
Yeah.
And that dude's already got the length to shoot over most people that are guarding him. So I love what's tantalizing about that. And just overall, we'd already talked about Eric Gordon. I'm curious what his role ends up being. Yeah, he was the last one to the party, wasn't he? Am I mistaken on that?
Last one to the party.
Last one to the party. What do you think his role's going to be?
I think he's the X factor. I said this on a show recently. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to separate us come playoff time. I think he's that good. He's still got a lot in the tank. You saw what he did in Bahamas, man. 34 years old. He's still got a lot of bounce in them legs.
The range is out of the gym.
Argentina team that is very good. He was taking over in crunch time, taking all the big shots. The synergy with DA. I do think that we're going to sit back in the playoffs and say there are 2 or 3 games that we won because of Eric Gordon.
Did you play ball growing up?
Yeah, as much as I could built like this, but I mean, I did. I loved it. I was always a try-hard. I was the hustler. I was the dude who knew the game.
And you know this, Flex, you get into the gym sometimes and you run into those old guys that just – I don't know how they do it. They just have range. Yeah. They're stronger than everybody, but they don't look like they are. Right, you know what I mean? Right. That's what Eric Gordon is. I played against a guy like that at Herbert Field Air Force Base. I don't know why, but from half court, he would just do this little move and then shoot it. I was like, what the oh my God, seriously? Like, that's what Eric Gordon is. Every time I see Eric Gordon, I think of homeboy back then. I'm like, what happened, man? Like, it's so dope. So
you said Air Force Base. The word base is what stands out for me.
Yes.
Yes. Right?
He's all about that.
Always solid.
That seems like it would come with a much taller dude.
Yes.
And then you see him and you're like, he's not that tall, but he plays a lot bigger.
Yes.
Yeah. What I was surprised with too, and we've talked about this a little bit, the athleticism he showed in that tournament with the Bahamas. The guy can still get it. He can still dunk too, which was a big calling card.
Thunder. I just remember him in college, like just jamming on people at Indiana. It was nasty.
Yeah.
Like, and then that's what you expected him to become in the league. And then the knees and everything, and we know how it goes. But the fact that he's still got what he's got in the tank, and maybe the resting that's happened late in his career is going to pay off for the Suns.
Pay dividends. We talk about our guards. I mean, Eric is big, man. Eric is a strong dude.
Yeah, he's got a big head too.
So is Beal.
Hey, don't be mad at people with big heads.
I got a giant head, so I'm not
I see Eric Gordon in the spot where I honestly believe this is going to be a crazy lineup, and we all talked about it. I'm sure you were alluding to that. You know, you're going to have Book, Beal, Gordon, Ayton, and KD on the court at the same time. Now, here's the thing: you've been to the gym, the small guard that could somehow power forwards, got the base, doesn't let them get comfortable in the post. Can push you out on the perimeter. That's Eric Gordon, man. Yeah. You're going to be able to put Eric on a 3 and say, go ahead and handle him on the defensive end. Good luck on offense, though, because these 5 guys coming at you are danger. So when I look at that, man, there's a recipe here that is going to be very exciting.
Can you imagine a world if Bol and DeAndre Ayton both figure it out in the same year?
with Drew Eubanks playing with them as well.
We might be talking about the greatest
team of all the rest of the NBA.
By the way, I continue to say it. Bol is an absolute fucking freak in 2K. I mean, yo, bro.
I was like, okay.
2K, Bobo's incredible, and those guys get it right, man. Yeah. I think Bobo's gonna have a breakout year, guys. I do.
You know what else is incredible? Our friends at OG. we broke out all the THC ads for Bloomer's shirt today. We've got our friends from OGs. I love all their flavors. All their flavors are fantastic.
The fruits, the creams.
The multi-flavor bags where you get a little of everything. I mean, that's what they do great. They are a scratch-made THC company, and the best thing about their gummies, they're made right here in the great state of Arizona. So check them out. You can check them out at
ogsbrands.com.
There you go.
Do you want to just for your closest dispensary to you, and make sure you are 21 years of age or older to enjoy and enjoy responsibly.
And check them out across all socials at OG's Brand.
Look at the teamwork.
It makes the dream work. And you heard that, kids. 21.
21.
You're looking like Eric Gordon right now, bro.
I feel like Eric Gordon. My knees definitely do.
You saying he has a big ass? That's just not cool.
No, big head.
Oh, big head. All right.
Yeah.
Look, you know what else?
For days.
You know what you don't have to be 21 or older for? Our friends at Illegal Pete's, they brought us lunch on Monday, and they are the best Mexican fast food here in town. You get in, you get your food, you get to enjoy it on their beautiful patio. You can check out Illegal Pete's. They are your go-to spot this summer. Stop by for happy hour 3 to 8 p.m. every day at all 12 locations. The go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers for 28 years. I like that they made that rhyme for us as well there at the end. We have something we need to show you, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Well, can I set this up? Yeah. So this morning, I was trying to give Eddie some fucking flowers to start the show, and he was spicy as usual because he always likes to go at his co-hosts. But then you came up, and he talked about how spicy you could be. Let's roll this.
One time, Jon Bloom, he was playing back. He claims he used to be a scratch golfer, which showed me the video. But anyway, show me the video.
Damn, John. All right.
But anyway, we were down in Florida. We had a couple of extra days down in Florida. A couple of my boys came down, so we had a nice little golf trip. We playing golf 36 holes a couple of days. And John was playing, and he was struggling. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he tries to go over to his bag because he hit a ball in the water. He tries to grab his bag and snatch it off the cart. The crazed animal didn't realize you got to freaking unbuckle it first. And he's shaking it and trying to pull it off to throw it. He almost got it out, and then he just walked away and just shaking his head. I told my buddy, I'm like, check his bag to see he don't have anything in there.
No, you didn't.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh, no.
I said, I've seen some crazy stuff on the golf course, but I've never seen a guy try to grab his bag to throw it in the water. If he could have gotten his bag, he would have thrown it in the water.
Oh my goodness.
Now, all of us are crazy on the golf course, including you. Yeah. But, I like, when I saw that from Jon Bloom, I was like, I love that guy.
Your
That's what it took.
your rebuttal,
hilarious,
John.
All the years of praise didn't matter. It took me spazzing out on the golf course. Yeah, man, that's a reputation I have earned. I have tried to shed, but I know it is fruitful. Like that's where my competitive juices come out, is the golf course. I really don't ever compete anywhere else. And so, yeah, still my little 5-year-old self comes out sometimes. So I knew it was strapped in, EJ. I just took my frustrations out on it.
Next time, just take his bag and throw it in the lake, all right?
I love that dude. I'm so excited to be part of the team with him. I think I've told you this before. It was one time where I was filling in for Tom Leander. We do little musical chairs when K-Ray did a Cowboy game, and then Tom fills in for K-Ray, and I fill in for Tom. And I'm sitting on the set, and I look over, and it's EJ and Tom Chambers, and immediately I was like transported to my couch that I told you earlier. My dad yelling at me, get off the couch, and I would watch so much sports on this couch, and I remember seeing them and watching them play on that couch, and now I'm on a set with them. That was like that moment where like, you felt like, okay, this is real. It's happening. Just don't think about it, because you'll get caught up in that, and then the pro hat will get knocked off, and you'll be exposed.
How glad were you that they weren't wearing their short shorts, though?
Thank goodness. Yeah, no butt huggers necessary on the TV set. We don't need those anymore.
I know you're a big hip hop guy. We talk about this all the time. You gotta that story. You gotta listen to "Mama I Made It." Jay-Z, man. That's the one. You got bumped out on the ride home right now.
I'm gonna put it.
"Mama I Made It." That's the one.
I'm gonna put it
That's
on.
the one.
So the golf happened in Florida, but what city are you looking forward to most to go to this season?
It ain't Salt Lake. I know that.
Probably in Indianapolis.
I do have to give some love to the schedule makers for, not intentionally, and I know because I know I don't rate, but our first game, so my first game as the voice of the Suns is in Detroit. That's where I started my career, right?
That's right.
Our first game of the regular season is in the
San
Bay.
Francisco.
Golden
That's where I was born and
State.
raised.
Wow.
How cool is that?
That's why. That's
It's
dope.
almost
on,
poetic.
man.
It's like, I know the first game is just another game, and I've already called games for you guys. If you've listened to the last few years, I've been doing the road games. It's not like it's going to be the first actual rodeo. But to be in that chair and know that it's now my chair, it's pretty dope for it to be Detroit and San Francisco as the first.
That's their basketball guys, man. I believe in them. That's the basketball guys, JB.
Same
That's
ones that are going to
incredible.
bring Larry here in about, 9 months or so?
The one I want to hear is Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Me and you gonna be in, and we're gonna hit the town. You know what we do. New York. We gonna be out
Going
there.
back?
Yeah.
I'm curious about how much you're going to be going back and forth, what the pull of the city and the East is going to be for Flex from Jersey.
I got too many good turkeys waiting on me out there, bro.
That's
My
fair.
whole family's out there, and I know y'all gonna be out there. So no, it's perfect. Thanksgiving we'll be out there. We'll hit the town like we did last time. It'll be a lot of fun. But
Yeah,
I'll see you
I
out
love
there.
those stops. New Orleans is a favorite stop of mine, and we have a weekend off there. I think we play like Oklahoma City on a Friday night, fly to New Orleans, off Saturday, Sunday, play there Monday night. So guess what? My
Wow.
wife's coming to New Orleans.
Yes.
We're going to go see some great music and eat
Yes.
some great food. So I'm looking forward to that part of the schedule. We've looked and like identified maybe times where the girls could come on a road trip this year, my daughters, but they're busy with school and different things. And I'm just so stoked to get this show on the road. I mean, I really am. And it's so many different parts of it, but the team, the way they're poised to compete, the way the positive momentum has been building in the Valley. And I feel like now we're going to get, even though it's football season, I get it. I know we're all into football, but
Not here.
it's going to start growing, is it not, over the next few weeks?
Yeah.
People are going to remember basketball is about to start. And I know we don't have all day to talk, but like, I think the league is ahead of this. I think the league thinking about an in-season tournament and doing what they're doing, and you may not have embraced that yet as a fan, but I do believe you're going to in the future. I think the in-season tournament's going to be dope in the future.
Yeah.
And it may take a few years, but it's going to be. And so to start that this year and that being the first year of that, I'm also pretty fired up.
It's
about
already sold out. The in-season tournament is already sold
Wow.
out. I went to go look because I was curious. I was like,
Wow.
I wonder how much tickets are. I went, sold out all the way
Wow.
from top to bottom, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like I've
Well,
already
say
told
something.
these guys, like if we make it to the in-season tournament, I'm going
Let's
because
go
I
to
think,
Vegas.
dude,
Yeah.
can you imagine the environment 4 teams
Crazy.
for the Final Four of the NBA, and you got 4 different sections of fan bases that are rooting. 3 of them probably rooting against your team, and it's just going to be it's a college atmosphere.
Yeah.
And these guys, I don't care if they are not motivated by the in-season tournament or not. If you talk to Ish Wainwright, you better be, because he would like that extra $500,000. I tell you that much. Yes. Also, like, you get in there and you start playing, you're gonna get hyped up because you're trying to put on a show.
And you're sitting next to the guys rooting for the other team.
Yes.
I mean, it's all happening almost like a Final
Dude, I
Four
can't
environment.
wait.
And then I got to see a show at the Sphere if we go to Vegas. I gotta see inside that thing. That looks ridiculous.
I hear the tacos calling, John. We spent so many summer leagues going to different taco
We will
joints
hit some
out there.
tacos.
We
You know what's an underrated part of that the in-season tournament is the trophies. I'm telling y'all, that's gonna become a thing. Like, we talk about the GOATs conversation, right? Mike got 6, Kobe got 5. Who's chasing Kobe? That's gonna become a thing. 10 years from now, you're gonna have somebody saying, "Shoot, I got 5 rings, but I got something Kobe don't got. I got 5 in-season MVP, in-season tournament MVPs or championships." That's gonna become part of the hardware that defines people's legacies. I think right now people aren't paying attention to that. I think it will. I think it's going to be part of your argument, and players are going to embrace that.
I think it's going to depend on how intense those games end up being. If it feels like a regular season game, which I doubt, but if it feels like a regular season game, then the importance won't be placed on it.
Right.
Just like the All-Star game, back in the day, it used to be a big deal. Like, oh, he's been to 15 All-Star games. Like, what a legend. You know what I mean? Now it's like, man, like half the guys that get voted in don't even play. So it doesn't really matter, whatever. But if it's intense, if you see that, I guarantee you, this first iteration of it, I feel like it's going to be as intense as the NBA Finals.
I think so.
Because the pressure and the feel of that arena will dictate that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be epic.
Yeah.
I have been on board with this in-season tournament. I should be the fucking spokesperson because I'm so hyped up about it. Let's go.
I mean, I think teams want to win everything. I think there's going to be a team that's going to say, damn it, let's win the in-season tournament, the NBA championship. Let's run the damn table. We the Phoenix Suns. Let's run the damn table. We the best team in the league.
And you can't rest
I think that's going to
anymore.
happen.
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all, it's
It's
going
sure
to
as
be
hell
fun.
not going to be less intense than a regular season game.
No.
I mean, because it is a regular season
It
game.
is a regular season game.
So the bottom line is it will count as much and be as intense as any other regular season game.
Correct.
But then it will be taken up a notch. So I have the same expectations. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what we're going to have to bring if we have to go to Vegas? Our Shady Rays. It's always sunny
Yeah.
in the desert. And if you want to get 2 pairs of the premier sunglasses out there, use the promo code PHNX. You're going to get 50% off. 2 pairs or more. They're gear built to last with their premium polarized lenses. I love them. Been out to the Kierland Commons store, and they have everything that you can try on. If you're a little hesitant to buy online, head out there, try them on, then buy online, or use the code there in store. And like I said, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com, use that code PHNX, get 50% off. 2 pairs or more. Try for yourself. The Shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. John, one of the big things as an announcer is catchphrases. We know that. I've come up with a list that I want to try.
Oh, here we go.
All right. Are you open to this?
Let's get it.
All right. The first one, Sweet Sassy Molassie. You think we can work it in?
Sweet Sassy Molassie. That has you written all over it. If we're doing preseason games again, get it, man. I'm going to leave that one.
I'm always available if you want to do preseason games again.
It did happen. He was an analyst on broadcasts.
Call. What was the one I said? Call him the bus boy because that was a dirty dish. That was my favorite line that I used in there.
I remember that one.
I don't remember which bad point guard made the pass, but yeah.
One
How
of the
about
Guardians?
this one? From way outside the valley, flush. It's a playoff Mike Breen. Instead of bang, you go flush. Right?
Flush.
No? Slam-a-lam-a ding-dong?
No. Stay away from that one. Stay away from that one.
How about
Especially if
this one?
Kawhi's playing.
I mean, Shazam's been the 3-point Carl, but I got one for you, all right? You shout Marvel Man because that was Marvel's version of Shazam.
Yes, the originator.
Creative.
Okay, this one may be a little bit more serious than the others. Mini City Population Book. when he hits a mid-range
Midi-City
population book.
I love it.
All right. That's all I got for you. I just want to have
I love that you put the effort in.
John,
Let's
workshop.
We'll let's hit one of our favorite delis and workshop it.
All right. Nobody wants to hear my calls. You keep them all your own and do it that way. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to share with Suns fans out there that you want them to know before the season starts?
I think I would just tell you all that please come say hi and don't be shy from introducing yourself when you're at a game and you see me in the stands. It's one of the things I love is interacting with the fans. I feel like I'm rhyming right now, not even intentionally. But it is. I do really love that part of the job, and I learned from Al McCoy that you are able to still do that stuff, put the headset on and do your job to the highest ability. So my hope is to continue doing that and to get to know as many of you on Planet Orange as I can, and make everybody proud. I think that's what I'm setting out to do. Is I feel like I'm proud that I got to this point, but it's only just starting for me, and that's exciting. It's an exciting place to be. I hope you feel my excitement, and I hope that we get to share what should be an amazing ride, not just this season, but for years to come.
Well, John, we're all excited for you as we expressed. Can't wait to hear that first game, October 8th, preseason game out there in Detroit, early morning out here in Phoenix.
Right.
But
you're going to take a tour of the UWM facility?
I think we're going to get
Y'all
a little
staying out there.
Yeah, we're not flying back.
Y'all are staying out there.
go.
Right?
No, we're not flying back
you're
after
not
the
flying
game, so
back,
I think
yeah.
there's something in store for the team.
that is
to maybe
yes.
You
see
might be
the
at that big old compound in
Pontiac.
Detroit
Might
somewhere,
head up to
brother.
the Yak, as we called it when I was in
man.
the D back in the day. Hey, I haven't even gotten to go down memory lane with Matt yet, and I'm so psyched. I mean, I know people have told him that I knew him back in the day, but it was something I haven't shared is, my first job was Detroit, and when I was there, one of my gigs was covering Michigan State basketball, and I covered all 4 years he was on Izzo's team. And I remember media day of the first one I was at, and I'm looking at guys like Mateen Cleaves and I remember
Pete.
Granger.
Charlie
Mo Pete
Bell.
wasn't there yet, I think, but I saw Matt Ishbia, and I'm like, I'm going to go talk to him. I'm actually taller than that dude. So I stuck a mic in his face. I'm like, we're going to talk a little bit. And I didn't even know who he was at the time. And I think he was a freshman. And we did an interview, and I brought it back to the station in Detroit. And they're like, oh, yeah, he played in Detroit. He's from the Detroit area.
Wow.
So they were psyched to get it. And I can't wait to share those types of things with him. Same type of thing with Josh Bartelstein. I haven't really had a chance to chop it up with him, but I've heard so much good stuff about this young man. You guys should be pumped. Everybody who talks about him says he's just amazing. It's almost like hard to live up to what I've heard about this dude so far. But he's got great initials. JB, good initials.
Yeah, always.
So when you stuck the mic in Ishbia's face, you thought, future billionaire. Right?
100%. Yeah, I'm like, this guy's going to hire me someday.
Well, John,
Hey, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
When's the last time you measured your ring finger?
Ooh, wedding.
Yeah? That long ago?
23 years ago, yeah.
You might have to get on that, man.
Oh, I hope so.
Let's not
get
not
one
jinx
of
it.
those.
Get to game one. Let's get through that, and we'll talk about it. John, a pleasure to have you here. If you want to connect with John, Twitter or X, whatever the hell it's called, at Jon Bloom. Don't use the H. It's not cool. It's no H in John.
It's just silent, when you have it. There's a lot of you out there, and when I meet you, you immediately become a silent H. That's what I call every John that spells it with an H. I nickname him Silent H.
You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. The H is silent there as well. He's at Flex from Jersey. The show's at PHNX_Suns. I'm Aspo. And remember, relationships matter, and good guys don't finish last. Ahoy, hoy!
Lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though. Lindsey, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball. We here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me. I'll always rep the family.